There has always been the looming question as to whether the governments of our world are controlled by a secret society or not. The question of if our votes really matter, or if there are people behind the scenes pulling the strings. Join us as we take a look at the history of one of the most famous secret societies. The Illuminati. Now, one of the hardest parts about detailing the history of a secret society is actually finding hard facts about their existence, hence the secret part of secret society. As most of the members of the Illuminati don't exactly often detail their more nefarious activities in their autobiographies, much of the known information about them is circumstantial. Many secret societies and groups claim to be part of the Illuminati, but are actually just using the name and not actually connected to the original group. The origins. Now, it's a common misconception that the Illuminati grew out of Freemasonry. While many of the practices, along with the ideals, are based on Freemasonry, the Illuminati are a different group entirely. It was not until later in the progression of the Illuminati where they began to develop close ties with the Freemasons. The original Illuminati were founded in the late 18th century at the University of Ingolstadt in Bavaria, Germany. Founded by a professor of ecclesiastical law and practical philosophy named Adam Weishaupt. Weishaupt took a liking to the Freemasonry Society and their practices, and what he did not like was the cost of its membership. In addition to this, he found that Freemasons, while more accepting of his ideas than the clergy, were still not fans of his overtly liberal principles. Weishaupt's failure to find a community that would foster his ideologies did not discourage him, though. Since he could not find an existing group to commiserate with, he then decided he would form his own organization. Weishaupt, while feeling rejected by the Freemasons, was still a fan of the social structure of their group. The Freemasons had what was called a gradal system or hierarchy. In this system, there were 3 degrees of ranking based on experience, utility, and skill. These degrees, or grades, were called apprentice, journeyman, and master mason. This system appealed to Weishaupt so much that he implemented a similar ranking system in his society. And it's often why people believe that the Illuminati grew from the Freemasons. The comparable rankings within the Illuminati were novice, Minerval, and illuminated Minerval. The founding of the Covenant. A little-known fact about the Illuminati is that the original name of the order was the Bund der Perfektibilisten, or the Covenant of Perfectibility. This new order was founded on May 1st of 1776 by Weishaupt and 4 students. Those 4 students' real names were Massenhausen, Bauhoff, Mers, and Sutor. But as all secret societies do, they were forced to adopt egotistical and arcane aliases to protect their true identities. Respectively, they then became Ajax, Agathon, Tiberius, and Erasmus Rotterdamus. Weishaupt would give himself the name of Spartacus. Now that this early Kirk Douglas had his 4 stooges in tow, he was able to begin growing his society in the following years. It would only take 2 short years for them to rename themselves the Illuminatenorden, or the Order of the Illuminati. Expansion. In the initial years of the Illuminati, the group wanted to stay very exclusive, only offering its membership to the most qualified individuals. What they failed to see, however, was that very few people really wanted to be qualified for their creepy boy band. One of the founding members, Massenhausen, was determined to spread the group's influence and then would aggressively pursue new recruits. And it would sadly be this drive to recruit that would cause Weishaupt to eject him from the group. He believed that Massenhausen had become lax on the guidelines for recruitment and had begun risking the integrity of the new order. By this time, the group had more than doubled in size to 12 members, and had also decided to expand to Munich. Despite Massenhausen's ejection from the group, he still silently remained active from a remote area. His replacement would then be named Franz Xaver von Zwack, a former student of Weishaupt and the head of the National Lottery. And much like Massenhausen, he aggressively recruited new members to the society, but was able to stick closely to the guidelines of the order. At the time, the Illuminati were looking to recruit young males, eager to learn and preferably from wealthy backgrounds. They never provided membership to women, Jews, monks, pagans, or members of any other secret society. It was during this time that Zwack began recruiting people of importance, such as social leaders and government officials. And then by 1778, they had grown to 27 members. Relationship with the Freemasons. Now, while the Illuminati was experiencing growth and did have powerful ties across the country, Weishaupt was hungry for more. He believed that there was much to learn about the inner workings of a successful secret society, and this would lead him to join the Freemasons in 1777. During this time, he remained the leader of the Illuminati, and claimed that he wanted to use his membership with the Freemasons to learn and adopt their practices in order to grow his own organization. As he began to rise through the ranks of the Freemasons, he quickly realized that there was little to really learn from them, and it was at this time that Zwack suggested that they enter into a relationship with the Freemasons for their own mutual benefits. Within the Freemasonry Society, the Illuminati would birth their own faction and quickly garnered success. Adolf Freiherr von Nigge. Adolf Freiherr von Nigge is one of the most famous leaders of the Illuminati during its formative years. He had been recruited as a Freemason and had risen to the top ranks in just a few short years. But like any good Adolf, it just wasn't enough for him. Adolf was originally recruited due to his influence across the state, along with his desire to learn more about the Freemason order. Sadly, though, his goals of spreading his liberal ideologies about reform were not exactly shared by the Freemasons. Fortunately enough, he was pointed towards the Illuminati, that was still in operation in unison with the Freemasons. Adolf would quickly find himself at home in this group, and was a strong proponent of human rights and education. Unfortunately, he was also interested in alchemy and other higher sciences. He believed that these were sentiments shared by the Illuminati, and began to passionately recruit new members. His leadership would be key to the rapid growth of the Illuminati in the early 1780s. But sadly, it was also his involvement in the Illuminati that became the root of an internal struggle that caused the order to fall from power. The internal struggle. The fall of most great empires is caused by instability within their own organization rather than any kind of external factor, and this was certainly the case with the Illuminati. A lack of foresight and planning is what laid an unstable foundation for the new order. Their recruiting tactics were based on selling their prospective members on a dream, one that had not yet been planned out. Adolf began recruiting Freemasons into the Illuminati by describing a very appealing Gradle system that promised all sorts of mystical and unattainable benefits for those who joined. In reality, though, there was not really yet a higher Gradle system in place for these new members to actually rise to. Weishaupt would then task Adolf with creating pamphlets that outlined what these higher ranks provided, as well as what the new order's goals would be in the coming years. As the web of half-truths and lies began to grow, the framework of the order began to weaken in tandem. New recruits became disillusioned with the order as they began to realize that there were no secrets to be learned and no new ranks in which they could rise to. On top of this, there became an inconsistency in ideologies across the group. Anti-Jesuitism was a founding sentiment of the Illuminati, and the original members still held on to these beliefs. It would sadly be these beliefs that would become an anti-religious sentiment. This internal conflict eventually led to Adolf leaving the group in 1784. The decline. Adolf certainly transformed the Illuminati from an occult group of students into a national organization, and towards the end, Weishaupt and Adolf had begun to develop contentious relations over the direction of the Illuminati. That's when Weishaupt began to spread slanderous rumors about Adolf throughout the Freemasons and the Illuminati Society. And this didn't exactly sit well with Adolf. He then threatened to expose Weishaupt's fraudulent rituals, and in turn exposed the Illuminati altogether. His influence in the government and society as a whole granted the Illuminati significant power for a short period of time. But upon losing Adolf's support in 1784, they also lost the support of most of the people that he recruited. Many of these recruits had been promised divine power and angelic secrets, but were left with nothing but empty promises. As word began to spread out about the Illuminati, the government soon caught wind of the secret society, and almost immediately there were laws that prohibited the meeting of secret societies across the state. They then would scramble to find a new direction by meeting at the convent of Wilhelmsbad. It was here that high-ranking members would discuss how the group should operate moving forward. And sadly, nothing concrete would come from the meeting, continuing the group's gradual decline. Zwack's home was then eventually raided, and much of the order's documentation and literature were made public. Guantanamo Bay. Now, we can't get through this list without mentioning the most well-known CIA prison, named Gitmo, but also affectionately known as the Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp. And it's located in, you guessed it, Cuba. Gitmo was established in 2002 by the George W. Bush administration during Bush's War on Terror.